welcome to MapleWoodian.com podcast. We have on the line Ian Grodman, former Township Committee member and longtime Democratic Central Committee chair. How are you doing, Ian?
I'm good. How are you, Joe?
Good. We're talking on Tuesday, March 25th, and it is tonight the Democratic Central Committee meets to listen to candidates for Township Committee and choose who they will endorse, but you're telling us the field is pretty limited. We have 2 seats up. India Laurier and Mayor DeLuca are both up for their next term, and it sounds like they're the only 2 who have shown interest at this point, or no?
So at this point, yeah, Joe, the Maplewood Democratic Committee is meeting tonight to interview anybody who is interested in seeking the endorsement of the Maplewood Democratic Committee as they run for Township Committee. We had publicized the fact that we were doing that. We had put things out on Maplewood Online, on Patch. We had reached out to a number of community organizations. We reached out to the Community Coalition on Race, which is doing a lot of work to get more people involved in civil engagement within the community. And the only people who expressed an interest by the deadline, which was 2 weeks ago, were the incumbents, Mayor Vic DeLuca and India Hayes-Laurier, who are both seeking to run again. When we have this meeting where we interview the 2 of them and hear what it is they would like us to know about them and what they wish to accomplish as members of the Township Committee, we also invite nominations from the floor, but that doesn't typically happen.
Right.
And people have been very satisfied and pleased with the work that Mayor DeLuca and India Laurier have done.
And now where does this meeting take place? At Town Hall?
No, because we are a political organization, we try not to meet in town hall or anywhere like that. So we do try to seek space in town. Sometimes we meet at the library. Sometimes we meet at the Hart Center. Unfortunately for us, all of the public meeting spaces that we could meet in this evening were booked, so we're actually meeting in my law office today.
Ah, very good.
Which is a tight fit for us, but we'll still meet there.
If people want to still throw their hat in the ring, can they, or is it too late? The deadline passed?
If there is anybody who is interested in running, we don't want to close off that opportunity to anybody. And, of course, people can run without the endorsement of the Maplewood Democratic Committee. And that's happened a number of times over the years. It may very well happen again now, but the reality is it's a very difficult job. I know you know that. Not everybody in town.
I only know that as a loudmouth reporter. I would not think of being able to serve because it does take so much time and
exactly.
Energy, yes.
Exactly. It's a difficult job. It's very often a thankless job. And we don't typically get a lot of people who are understandably willing to take that on.
Right, and then the deadline to file to run in the primary is next Monday.
Correct. Monday, March 31st is the deadline to run in the primary, as long as you had a petition into Town Hall at the Township Clerk's office by, I'm not sure. It's either 4 o'clock or 4:30.
Right. Liz Fritzen, the town clerk, told me 4 o'clock. And you have to have, I'm not sure how many signatures, but the Town Hall can let you know.
Absolutely.
And the key is, just so people know, when you get the Democratic Central Committee endorsement, that puts you on a certain line in the primary vote?
So we are the Maplewood Democratic Committee. We are part of the Essex County Democratic Committee. It's not a central committee. I just want to make sure people know.
Okay, my apologies if I missed.
No, that's okay. There's nothing to apologize for. I just want to make sure that people are clear on that. Right. So the Maplewood Democratic Committee will endorse 2 candidates tonight. Those candidates will run on the Essex County Democratic Committee Incorporated line, which, it can be helpful to somebody who's running. Sometimes it might not be helpful. There are a number of people locally who are not happy with the greater Essex County Democratic Committee. But typically that will be at the very top of the line. It will be a very full line. So when you look at the ballot, the Essex County Democratic Committee Inc. line will have a candidate in every race, where very often people who are running on their own or are trying to run against the larger organization will kind of be isolated on the ballot.
But but if someone wants to run in the primary, or isn't it true, if you want to run as an independent in November, you also have to file this by next week or by the primary date? In other words, you are not allowed to run after the primary unless you
If you're going to run with a party endorsement, you need to run in the primary. If you're going to run as an independent, you can do that.
But don't you have to?
I'm sorry, by this, I guess, and I don't know what the deadlines are for filing now for the November election, Joe. I'm sorry, but I believe they're early September. But if you wanted to run as an independent, you could file in September as an independent.
And then we also have the congressional races. Our Congressman Donald Payne Jr. Many people know his father was one of the best congressmen.
Oh, I agree.
He passed away, and his son took his spot, and now Payne Jr. We've started posting his releases. We got on his mailing list, so we're posting things that he's doing. And I know you and I saw him last year when Barbara Buono was campaigning here. I think Congressman Payne, I give him a lot of credit. He came out to support her, even though she had a very tough challenge. Right. So he's up again in the primary, and we do not have state legislative seats up. They obviously go on alternate years. But we also have one Senate seat, which Cory Booker now has, and I can't see him having any trouble in the primary.
No, I don't believe there's a challenger at this point. Also, Joe, it should be pointed out that the county executive and the Board of Chosen Freeholders will also be up this year as well. And so those candidates there are Democratic candidates who will be up in the primary, and then on the November ballot as well.
What do you say to people who think, the primary isn't important? On an off year when we don't have probably a lot of challengers, why is it important for people to cast their vote? I cast my vote in every election, but that's me.
I do too, and I think maybe this sounds kind of corny and trite, but I think it's the most important thing that we do as Americans is come out and make our voices heard and make sure that we vote. I can tell you a big part of my law practice is doing immigration work, and it's very, very exciting for people who have been living in the country for many, many years, whatever their status might be, whether it's out of status or green card holder or living and working here on a visa. It's very exciting for people to get to the point where they can become a United States citizen and make their voices heard in the election, even if it appears to be a foregone conclusion. To me, it's the most important thing we do as citizens in this country, and and I think it's just very important to make our voices heard. Also, when you look at it from that's my kind of idealistic view of it. But when you look at it from a purely political standpoint, if the Democrats are in control in the state of New Jersey, and it's noticed that Democratic turnout in Maplewood is strong, it's to our benefit.
Yes, and the primary, I always say to people, the primary in Maplewood is like the general election because we have such a strong Democratic base. They will have Republican candidates, obviously. You and I have talked, I'm always very surprised that the Republican candidates don't do more to really push, because a lot of people who like our township committee would say, look, we should have a Republican on there or two, or an independent, just to mix it up. I don't look at things from a party standpoint because I think we have good people on there. I think the mayor, who I've disagreed with, but I think he does a very good job. He spends a lot of time on a lot of things. India Laurier, I think, has been good. I think everyone on there is. But, there are people who say, look, why don't we have some other party voices? I'm talking to the Democratic chair, so you're not going to necessarily agree with that. But in the primary, it is the one spot where you can really have a say because the general election is usually so lopsided. And I've often gone in and written in people, or sometimes you want to look. We don't want these two incumbents to win. You just want to sort of have your voice, and you can vote for someone else in the primary or write someone else in. And maybe a person can come up. Was it either Mayor DeLuca when he was running to come back, or Fred Profeta and one of them did not get the party endorsement one year and went on to win, correct?
That's right.
I'm misremembering when that was.
No, that's actually Victor Luca and Jerry Ryan many years ago were not endorsed by the party, but did actually win in the election.
So it didn't happen.
No, I'm sorry. It was just Mayor DeLuca.
Yeah.
It was a different.
It was when DeLuca came back after he had lost, and he mounted his comeback, which I still think has been one of the most impressive comebacks. I mean,
absolutely,
he gets appointed mayor year after year. He wins re-election. I think the last time he ran, he got the biggest percentage, at least of that year, and maybe in a long time. And he's definitely on his way to being one of the town's longest-serving mayors.
Absolutely.
If he wants to do it, and I think the people. But again, that's why we vote. People can go out and say, "Wait a minute, this is who I want," or "I want to run," or "I want to write in somebody." But then how many people are on now? What is the difference between the Democratic Central Committee and the Democratic Committee? Why do I have those mixed up?
So do you mean? Well, we don't have a Democratic Central Committee
in Maplewood.
To me, right? Okay. To me, that sort of sounds like a communist. So we have the Maplewood Democratic Committee, which is the Essex County Democratic Committee district leaders who live in Maplewood. So it's kind of a dual role.
I see. Okay.
We are the people who endorse candidates for Township Committee here in Maplewood and work to make sure that Democrats are coming out to vote in the primary election and in the November election. But we are also part of the greater Essex County Democratic Committee, which serves the same role for the entire county. So the Maplewood Democratic Committee district leaders have been involved, for instance, when Mila J.C. was first appointed to fill the seat that was vacated by Mims Hackett. One of the kind of exciting things that people as Democratic district leaders in Maplewood got to do was to be part of that meeting that chose Mila J.C. to fill that unexpired term of Mims Hackett when he left the state legislature. Last year, or I should say about a year and a half ago now, there was an open freeholder seat. We were involved in that process in choosing who was going to fill the unexpired term for that freeholder seat. So we are involved on a larger level outside of Maplewood and what's going on in the county as well.
And how many people are on the Democratic Committee in Maplewood?
Well, we have 21 election districts in Maplewood, and there is a man and a woman from each district who serve as district leaders.
Now, you also, in the primary, if you're a registered Democrat voting in the primary, you also vote for the Democratic leaders, correct?
That's correct. You will also be voting in the June primary for the district leaders.
And that's if you don't want to vote for anyone else in the primary, that's reason enough, because that's a tangible choice that really has effect, as you say, because the committee does involve itself in so many things. And I know in past years there's been a lot of campaigning just for the Democratic committee leadership positions.
Absolutely.
I've had friends who pass out flyers and are you running for township committee? No, I'm running for the Democratic Committee. Oh, really?
Right.
Some would say that has as much power on the county level.
We have had in Maplewood in the past some dissension within the Maplewood Democratic Committee, and there have been blocks of candidates on different sides running for those spots. Over the last several years, I do have to say we have been working as a pretty cohesive group. Despite whatever differences we might have, we find a way to work together for the good of our candidates, for the good of the Democratic Party. But we still have occasionally people who run against people who have been endorsed by our organization. The last 2 years ago, we did have New Jersey Working Families supported a number of candidates who were running against our district leaders here in Maplewood. One of those people actually won their election and has become a terrific district leader and really contributed a lot to our organization. So occasionally we do see outside, I shouldn't say outside, but people who are not already a district leader who have not been endorsed by our organization running as well. It doesn't happen a lot, but it happens sometimes.
Sure, and listen, if everyone agreed on everything, it wouldn't be Maplewood, right?
That's right, exactly.
Anyway, I will let you go. And again, to remind people, the Maplewood Democratic Committee meets tonight. They will listen to the mayor and India Laurier. And if you want to run in the primary, it's not too late. Reach out to, where's the best way to reach out to you?
So people can reach me, the best way to reach me is by email, iangrodman@gmail.com. If there's anybody who is still interested in coming before the committee tonight to seek the endorsement, get in touch with me today.
Yes, and the primary deadline to run in the primary is next Monday. If you don't want to go with the Democratic Committee, you can do it on your own and get the contact town hall, know what you need to do. And then the primary is in June, and the general election is in November. And also, let's give a plug to Ian Grodman, attorney, one of the great immigration attorneys and other
and a mediator.
And mediation is the big thing now.
I mean, quite a bit. Yes.
I won't go off on this here, but I have friends who are dealing with certain issues, and a lot of it goes to mediation, and it's a lot easier and cheaper for all involved, and time-consuming. I would say a lot less time-consuming. So you can reach out to you for those as well.
In mediation, the parties have a great deal more control over what their lives are going to look like once this conflict is over, rather than going through the litigation process.
Now, what kind of do you do? Divorce mediation, or do you do all kinds of things? I do
divorce mediation. I do civil mediation. I have worked with businesses that have internal issues that need to be resolved in order for the business to be more effective. I also have been working as part of the Storm Sandy mediation program here in New Jersey, that the state put into effect to try to help homeowners and insurance carriers that have had difficulty resolving their disputes after Storm Sandy to come up with a solution that is, like you said, timely and effective, and that's been pretty exciting as well.
Well, we should have you on again to just talk about your legal practice.
Thank you. I would love
There's a lot of interesting things going on there. But so everyone, stay tuned to find out who they endorse. I don't think it'll be a big surprise, but you never know. Stranger things have happened.
You never know. Stranger things have happened. And like you said also, Joe, for people who are listening, it's important to remember that, March 31st is the deadline if you want to run for any of these positions in the June 3rd primary.
Hey, thank you very much, sir.
All right, Joe. Take care. Always a pleasure. You too.